The army of volunteers from the early childhood, primary, secondary, and tertiary level institutions, those involved in community organizations, as well as national organizations, have significantly contributed to the building of the nation through sport. The initiatives being undertaken in educational institutions to advance the cause of sport are also a critical component in nation building. The secondary schools have always taken the lead in this regard, and of the average of 120 secondary schools participate in national competitions at the high school level, the average cost to each school runs anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million. So if we're talking about sponsorship from the state of $400 million, $500 million from private entities, and then we're talking about over $100 million raised by the schools themselves. We are spending on average, certainly in 2009, over $1 billion on sport in Jamaica. The question can therefore be asked, is everything possible being done to galvanize our potential in using sport as a vehicle for national building, nation building? Regrettably, the answer is no. And I will cite some examples. First example, at the moment, there is no national strategic plan guiding the development of sport in Jamaica. Next, sport is being administered by too many different state agencies without any semblance of central coordination and without any real clarity as to which agency has lead responsibility. Next, despite the acknowledged work of the SDF in assisting with the development of sport facilities in the country, there is a need for more facilities. Next, urgent attention, ladies and gentlemen, must be given to making the Trelawney Sports Complex into what it was originally intended to be. I believe the complex must be owned and controlled by the state, similar to the National Stadium, the National Arena, and Indoor Sports Center. The complex must be held in trust on behalf of the people of Jamaica to ensure that all have equal access to the facility. The only caveat is that a strong, experienced, and business-oriented team of persons must be put in place to market and manage the facility. And I want you to listen to this one, ladies and gentlemen. On July 19th, 1983, the late Minister of Youth and Community Development with responsibility for sport, Errol Anderson, said, and I quote, "We wish to begin preparation for a Hall of Fame in the Institute of Sport." End of quote. Nothing happened. On April 3rd, 1996, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, in reference to the SDF, said, and I quote, "The foundation also recognizes the need to maximize a permanent historical record of the achievements of our sportsmen and women and will be establishing a sports museum or Hall of Fame for this purpose." End of quote. Nothing happened. In 2007, the then Minister of Sport, Portia Simpson-Miller, said that at her direction, there will be the, and I quote, "establishment of a sports library and museum." End of quote. Nothing happened. In 2008, the current Minister of Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange, stated that, and I quote, "My ministry intends to integrate our culture and sports portfolios, the two portfolios that are the most formidable elements in brand Jamaica, in establishing a sports museum." End of quote. Nothing has happened. For 27 years, we have been promised a sport museum from persons at the highest level. This must now become a reality as part of the continuous process of nation building through sports. Finally, in this area, the most important area of focus in our nation building through sports must be our communities. Of the 400 million allocated to sport by Chase, 220 million, or 55%, went to national associations. There needs to be a shift towards communities in the allocation of these funds. I now turn to sport and the economy. Don't worry, we have only about another hour and a half to go. Don't worry. Be comfortable. The possibility of maximizing the financial potential of brand Jamaica must be viewed within the context of a Jamaican economy which has been experiencing anemic economic growth for the last 30 years. As such, there needs to be a paradigmatic shift in the thinking by the authorities in Jamaica, in government, in sports associations, and in the private sector about how sport can be used to leverage the Jamaican economy. Let me raise a few points in this regard. Sport has been critical in defining brand Jamaica. One of Jamaica's main areas of economic focus has been its tourist industry. Yet, from our chief policymaker in this regard, our Minister of Tourism, in his 2010 budget presentation, there was only one paragraph on sport, and it reads thus, and I quote, "In sports, we'll further leverage on Jamaica's triumph in Beijing through our participation in the 2009 World Games in Berlin and the 2010 Winter Olympics in Canada to promote Jamaica, because we will have Olympic gold medalists running in those games and a Jamaican team participating in the Winter Games in Canada." End of quote. Yes, the quote finished. That was the only thing that was said on sport. The Minister of Tourism seek and are able to acquire sponsorship for both events, including this year, $40 million. I saw at the back of a paper. Good work, excellent work, the synergies between the sponsors and ISO. This is commendable. But at these championships, we have some of the world's fastest athletes on show. Yet, there seems to be no effort to generate much needed funds by way of negotiating the sale of broadcasting rights of these events. This is where money is now earned in sport in the world, not at the gates, not necessarily from sponsorship, but from the sale of broadcasting rights. We're also trailing in the film industry. We have so many marketable athletes, yet we are not using the talent which we have to showcase what we are able to produce as a country. It took a Spanish country to come to Jamaica and film and produce a documentary titled "Why Jamaicans Run So Fast," which we are faced with is that we do not have a properly worked out national to the exploits of the athletes through entertainment, craft, manufacturing, tourism, agriculture, and other types of investments that generate employment and creates wealth. Jamaica has not yet developed the potential to fully integrate sport as part of the economy, largely because our thinking has not changed from what sport used to be to what sport is now. And as I conclude, cutting here 1.5 hours to a few minutes, Jamaica is a great country, made even greater by its outstanding achievements in sport. We need to build on this legacy. How? We need, sooner rather than later, a national development plan for sport. A kind of 2030 strategic plan in which we focus on positioning all of our competitive sport for that time period, especially those which have allowed us to penetrate the global sport arena. Another area, as an area of national life which has brought so much glory to the country and which has so much potential, sport requires concentrated focus and attention. To be placed in a ministry where the minister also has responsibility for youth, culture, entertainment, community development, women, and gender affairs undermines the essence of what can be achieved by sport. Not clapping? Anyway, we'll move on. Third, the majority of the national sport associations need to modernize their administrative structure in keeping with international trends. The closed, authoritarian, non-inclusive, non-transparent, non-accountable style of leadership must give way to open, transparent, collective, and accountable. The modernization of the management of our sport organizations will help to deepen the required trust among all stakeholders. We need to build relationships in the international community which will allow us to access the most modern expertise, technologies, and methods to advance sport in Jamaica. Sport has a powerful role to play in the transformation of Jamaica, but it means that meaningful investment in sport programs and facilities must be continuously undertaken, especially in the communities. We must develop a plan to stop the ambush marketing of Jamaica's name internationally. With the necessary plan in place, Jamaica can prevent the illegal use of its name to promote all types of products, thus enriching others and not Jamaica. All the pause that we need to do is to check good lawyers. And I'm not into the business of marketing. Finally, there is a need for a comprehensive national program under which our sport personalities are encouraged to visit, if not adopt, schools to help foster the positive values of sport and the achievement of development plans. Jamaica's ability to competently build on its sports legacy will be greatly enhanced by the fixing of the education system, generating consistent and sustainable economic growth, accompanied by social equity, the eradication of crime, and the restoration of law and order. This is not only the duty of the state, but also that of the private sector. Businesses need sustainable societies in order to protect their own sustainability. This also requires the input of every individual in the society, as in order to stop economic and social erosion, it must begin with serious and meaningful self-examination. If our sport men and women can demonstrate the will to win, despite the odds, then as a people, we must demonstrate the will to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and enjoy sport. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening.